It's the first ever Kotak-ET NOW E-commerce forum, and the who's who of India's e-commerce space made their presence felt. Over 150 fund managers, investors and e-commerce players took part in the forum, and what a day to have it when one of India Inc.'s stalwart Ratan Tata's investments in Snapdeal.com became public and hit headlines. The buzzwords here are obviously the kind of mind-boggling valuations that have been thrown around recently, and of course, more importantly, the funding. Where is the next round of funding going to come from if India's e-commerce business is at an inflection point and it's set for a major boom going forward? I spoke to a bunch of fund managers, investors, and they seem to believe that Indian e-commerce companies, the founders of these companies, much like to see themselves as peers of Silicon Valley startups in California, and will definitely go to New York and list on the NASDAQ for their next round of funding and unlock value in their company. Investors also believe that the still top dollar is chasing online startups in the Indian market, and there are more overseas investors looking to partake in India's e-commerce story. Take a look.
E-commerce is the buzzword now, with private equity funds cozying up to the Flipkarts and Snapdeals. While the talk of some online players listing on Dalal Street is doing the rounds, many believe the e-tailers may give desi exchanges a miss, opting for the NASDAQ or the New York Stock Exchange instead.
Most investors will have to wait for the listings to happen. Most of them, as I said, will happen overseas, and eventually they will come to India.
While questions are being raised on the sky-high valuations that have been witnessed recently, private equity and venture funds believe that there is room for more.
There are many companies now who are doing e-commerce is more than 50% of their transactions.
Clearly, the Indian consumer is warming up to online shopping, and that is what is catching the attention of the big boys of India Inc. Right from Narayan Murthy to Azim Premji to Ratan Tata. Everyone's been hit by the e-commerce boom. And as the Flipkarts and Amazon slug it out, it's good news for Indian consumers. With Krishnakumar and Vijay Ganeshan Iyer, Ashwin Mohan, ET Now, Mumbai.
IndiaMart, the country's largest business-to-business marketplace, was also a participant at the Kotak-ET NOW E-commerce forum. The company, incidentally, is gearing up for an initial public offer of its shares very soon, and analysts say the company could be valued at around 1,000 crore rupees or even more. Now, I spoke to Mr. Brajesh Agarwal, who is the co-founder and director of IndiaMart, and he says that the mind-boggling valuations that e-commerce companies are finding these days might sound inflated at the moment, but in reality, these companies could be valued even higher going forward. He also says that the IPO plans of IndiaMart will be finalized in less than a couple of months from now, and also says that IndiaMart will choose to traverse both the business-to-business and business-to-consumer models and not restrict itself to one particular thing. Take a look.
We're evaluating doing an IPO. Whether it will happen soon, when will it happen, I think are questions that are still to be answered. We should continue to build up solid business, and I'm pretty sure that the market gives you a fair value if your business is doing very, very well.
You know what, that's the topic I want to arrive at. So much of talk about e-commerce ever since Flipkart's mind-boggling valuations came out, and after Amazon decided to pump in even more than what Flipkart was being valued at. The question that's being asked now is, are these valuations overstretched?
There is a seller and there is an investor, right? The investor thinks the price is right. The seller believes that the product that they're making commands that kind of a value. Both agree, and therefore, for me, all valuations are right valuations.
A Google study says that the number of internet users in India will cross the number of internet users in the United States of America by the end of 2014, and that number could touch 500 million by 2018, which is not very far away from now. So the growth prospects for India's e-commerce industry is very clear. There's abundance awaiting to be taken, and the positivity was felt at the Kotak-ET NOW E-commerce forum. Be it players, be it investors or fund managers, they all see that the way forward is very clear. Companies with quality business models, with good business models, and more importantly, a good control of their logistics and supply chain management will be able to attract a top dollar for their startups. And despite behemoths like Amazon and even other Indian players like Flipkart having huge global backing, there is still room for growth for many players and for even more players to enter India's e-commerce space going forward.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ETNow and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ETNow Live. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/ETNow.